Hi, I'm EJ Walsh, Wrestle Island's #1 prospect, and you are listening to my Brit Rest journey.
Yo, what's going on? It's your boy, Big Wavy Roy Johnson here.
This is the professional Nathan Cruz.
Yo, this is man like Doris.
Hi, this is Tom Thurber.
This is Benji.
This is the Asian sensation Kanji.
This is the Nightmare Fuel Hassan Malone.
This is Joe Rage, the Heavyweight Classic.
This is Mad Dog O'Doherty.
This is Tonga.
I'm the Breaker, Kyle Kingsley.
This is the infamous Cameron Solis, and you're listening
to
Broken but Glorious.
Broken but Glorious.
To Broken but Glorious podcast, because like me, you are head to toe a pro.
Hello and welcome to my Brit Rest journey on bbgwrestling.com. I'm Chris Lappin. I'm delighted to be joined on the line by EJ Walsh. How are you doing this evening, EJ?
I'm doing great, thank you, Chris. How are you doing?
I'm good. As I've just said, I've just had a sneezing fit, so I'm a bit sniffy at the beginning of the interview. I apologise. I'll try and cut out as many as I can.
Sorry.
Yeah, so
It's just getting out of that kind of season, so...
Yeah. Oh, it doesn't matter what time I have hay fever all year round. It doesn't really seem to matter what time.
Mine's the exact same, you know. And it's like, I'm glad it's not passed on to me because she'll go on sneezing fits that are like 7 sneezes.
Yeah. I'm kind of crazy. I think it's one of the reasons I've never learned to drive, because I'd just be paranoid that I'd have a sneeze while driving.
That's one of my paranoias of learning to drive as well, though. I'm scared that I'll like yawn or sneeze at the wheel and like, you know, now I'm like on the other lane.
Yeah. Right, our YouTube listeners would know you maybe from our recent video. It's had like 20,000 views.
20,000 people just had to watch me body slam you. I feel like it's just 5 people who don't like you, and they've just clicked on it and just keep refreshing to get the views up and up because they can't get enough of it.
That's what I'm thinking.
I don't know who it would be. It's definitely not me boosting my own viewership.
That's crazy. I was just looking at the analysis. It's usually like a couple of thousand a week, but then it was like 22,000. Where's that come from? So yeah, 19.8 thousand of them was our videos.
Yeah, that's true stuff. I've forgotten.
So how's your 2022 been so far in ring?
Honestly, 2022 has been my best year, I would say, personally. Sorry if you can hear a background sound, by the way, I don't know what's going on. But no, 2022 has been a fantastic year for me personally in wrestling. I've managed to I took a really long break. I didn't want to, but I had to. This is when I started Wrestle Island, and, you know, I'll probably end up getting into that later. Yeah. But yeah, as a quick summary, 2022 is my best year so far.
So was your first match back the Rumble?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think my last match before then was, I think, March 2022.
Oh, wow.
No, not 2020. And it was against Tommy Jackson.
Is that redacted?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It was a great match. You know, it was a good way to like kind of sail off, but you know, it was kind of like the end of regular training for a while for me as well. I couldn't really train that much.
So after redacted closed, where did you go training after?
Oh, okay. This is a tumultuous story. So after that place closed down, I think I was kind of panicking. I thought, you know, that's it. I'm gonna have to start wrestling. Then I was told by, I believe, Brian Aidenson that I have to. There's a place. It was in Maghole, I think. It was Fighting Spirit.
Yes.
That was taught by GYV, James Drake, and Zach Gibson, who are 2 lovely lads. And then that closed because they got signed to NXT. Yeah. And then I went to Claw, where I was trained by Sonna Durson.
Then that closed. Lizzie Evo, was it?
Yeah, Lizzie was there. But it was primarily Sonna, I would say. Again, both of them are lovely as well. And then I went on to...
Sonna was great when he did that session at Wrestle Island.
Yeah, he was proper sound. He's just really down to earth, and that's the best a trainer and a trainee can be, is down to earth, because one thing I find when I start training at a new place, it's kind of like a job interview. You've got to feel like it's going to be formal, but then you get into it and it's just like, no one cares.
Yeah, so that was the first time we did strikes. And I was like, oh.
That's happened too many times for me as well. But I think I was at Claw for a few months. It closed in, I want to say October actually, or November, maybe even earlier. And then I didn't wrestle for like all the way until Temple opened in April or March of this year.
Oh,
and I've just been consistent there now. And it's great.
I love it, yeah. Yeah, I started in the beginning of May, I think. Yeah,
it's just great there. Sean Only as well is a fantastic coach. And all the people who they've brought in, like, again, Brian Aidenson, Dan Evans is very nice as well. He's very good.
Yeah, we had him on a couple of weeks ago for the interview. I think we talked about wrestling for about 20 minutes in about just under 2 hours chat, I think.
They're doing a Joseph Connors seminar in November, I believe, as well.
Yeah, I can't wait.
So I'm going to be getting down to that, hopefully.
Yeah. Were there any matches or storylines you're particularly looking forward to in 2020 that couldn't happen because of the pandemic?
It wasn't set in stone, but for me, I was going to get my first proper feud with a lad called... I'm not sure how well known he is because he's not really wrestled. I don't think he wrestles anymore, but his name's Tommy Hayden.
Yes.
Yeah,
I've only seen him once.
Yeah, he's lovely. We had a match. It was a 6-man tag team match, which was my second to last one, actually. And I pitched to the owner, can I maybe have a feud with him if he's up for it? And then, it fell through.
Oh.
But apart from that, I don't think I had any plans. I wasn't really getting around at the time either. I was kind of just nailed down to this one place. And I was still fairly new, so I didn't really know, the ins and outs of getting booked as much as I do now. But, I made it work. I've got stuff looking forward to now, though.
Yeah, definitely.
It's great for the first time getting to look forward to a show or a feud or an opponent. And that's, I don't know, it's why I keep coming back to wrestling now. It hurts, but at least I've got stuff to look forward to.
Yeah. I don't know if it hurts less than it used to training. But I'm just used to it now.
It's like Stockholm syndrome, really. It's like you get hurt more and more, and then you just get used to it, and it's ingrained.
I think at the beginning it was just I'd never done like squats in my life, so I'd have I could barely walk for days after training. I thought you meant like taking your first bumps. Yeah, now we're on to bumps. Yeah.
Bumps are the word, but even then the exercise, like you said, like. I remember being absolutely gassed on my first ever adult session because we did a thing called 10 up, 10 down. Yeah. It was like 10 push-ups, 10 sit-ups, 9 push-ups, 9 sit-ups, and you work your way all the way down.
Yeah.
I hated it. And then we do Brookside shuffles, which is even worse.
I hate. I don't mind the shuffling, but I just hate the grapes in the corner. I just
I hate all of it. It hurts my legs. And then that just sets the tone for the rest of training. Oh, I guess I'm going to be limping for all this now.
Yeah, when we first started training, I was like, why do we get absolutely knackered and then have to try and do technical stuff and try and remember? I do get it now.
Yeah, there's some trainers who go a lot harder than a few others. Like, I will say Sean Only, he's pretty light on his warm-ups compared to some people who I've trained under. And that's...
The first time we did stretches with him, I think I discovered muscles I didn't know I had.
You did that with me, the cat and camels. I didn't really know that I could stretch my lower back like that. I thought it was just like, the push yourself up off the floor one. I don't remember what it's called.
Yeah, nor do I.
He knows his stuff though, that's why I love it.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Yeah, our first session we had was with Brian, so it was dead fun. And then we went back on the Sunday, it was with Sean Only, and so going from that dead fun, like, introductory session to, like, all these dead, deep stretches and stuff the next day, I think, I couldn't walk for 4 days after it. My legs were dry.
That was me after, like, all my first training sessions, or it's even worse if you've taken, like, a gap out of it, and then you get back to it, and it's like, oh, yeah, I remember this now.
I think I was probably a stone heavier back then as well, so it probably wasn't that great.
I was probably a stone lighter back then.
Yeah, the last Wrestle Island show you had a really fun match, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Turn the wheel, make the deal. Spin the wheel,
Spin the wheel, make the deal.
You could only win by doing a crane kick.
So the stipulation was, I think the first 3 people who entered had to do a crane kick to be able to do a pin. The next 3 people had to do a dive from the top rope, I think.
Or was it a fire move? Or?
I think so.
Yeah.
I just remember getting jumped on a lot. And I got kicked in the face by Terry Issett.
Yeah.
Which left a big bruise. It was awful. And then the final 2, which was Polish Barry and Drill, had to do a dance routine.
Yeah. Had to do some dirty dancing.
I tried so hard not to pop when he did the whole spin thing with James Greenwood, though. He just said he wanted to do a dance routine. I had no idea. I didn't know what to expect, really. And I think if you find the video, I'm pretty sure there's someone in the corner, and Greenwood nearly kicks them in the face while Barry is spinning around.
I'll have to look at that. It's up on YouTube now, isn't it? So
I forget who it is. I don't know who was in the corner. It might have been Ry Lloyd, maybe.
Maybe. I'll have to look.
Yeah, it's funny.
I'm really looking forward to seeing Greenwood have a match at Extreme Fields against Charles Crowley. That should be an interesting.
Oh yeah, I've been seeing all the promos on it as well, and I want to work Crowley in some way or form before I ever retire, because the dude is insane with his I don't even know if you can call them promos. They're almost like mini movies with how well they're done.
Yeah, definitely.
And, he's I've not had a chance to see him work a match, but I mean, surely he's got to be good if he's able to do. If he's cutting promos that good, surely he lives up to the hype. Is what I mean.
Oh yeah, I've only seen him on YouTube. I've never seen him live, but he's good in the ring as well. Yeah, that the one he did during. Do you see that You're Cordially Invited to? He did. He just invited loads of wrestlers to a warehouse and they just batter each other.
I haven't seen that.
I'll send you the link later. It's one of Isaac's favourite matches. We've watched it so many times.
What is it? He just brings loads of wrestlers into a warehouse and they just batter each other?
Yeah. Greenwood's there. Big Joe's there. Big Guns Joe. Who's there? What's there? Clementine, Elijah.
I had a similar idea. I thought it up as a joke on the way home from training with Pud. And it was a wrestling Hunger Games where you put 8 wrestlers in the woods, and it's filmed a cinematic match, and you've got weapons kendo sticks and chairs in the middle.
Ooh, so it'd be a bit what's that? Battle Royale? Have you seen that movie? It's a Japanese movie.
No, I haven't, but I get what you mean. I've seen clips of it.
Yeah,
but
such a good film.
I mean, the match wouldn't work at all, but I just thought it'd be funny.
I could see it working if it was. If you had a decent production team on it, or rather than just people on their phones following people around. Make it could work.
Make it look more like Blair Witch than Hunger Games, to be fair.
Oh, after training one day, we could all go to the woods opposite my house, and we'll film it.
That's if I can even walk after training. I had a 20-minute walk after I get off the bus, and it's just dragging myself at that point. It's all uphill as well.
Right then, Wrestle Island this Sunday, Whitby Social Club, Ellesmere Port. Don't call it at 2.0. You've got a. We say it's the Prospect Division resumes because.
I would say it's a resume with Harry coming back. He won Prospect Wars in
2020. It was his last match for Wrestle Island.
Oh yeah. I think 2020. Yeah. 119. I don't know.
It was the last Wrestle Island show in 19.
Oh right. We also have Riley the NBF, who's actually making his debut at the island, I believe, and I'm looking forward to getting to work with him. I've seen him in training, and that lad is athletic.
Oh yeah, he used to be a ballet dancer. I'm trying to remember from the interview I did with him. He used to be a ballet dancer or a gymnast. I can't remember which one it was.
I mean, it shows. To be fair, the dude's he has hops and he's really athletic. I think he had a training match, a tag team one.
Yeah.
And he does this kick, and I don't even know how to describe it. He like floats for it. Then there's obviously myself and Puds, who I'm not sure how to describe it. We're kind of like, I don't know. We've been on shows and we've kind of battered each other back and forth on them. So it's like, I entered the Rumble while Pud was in there. I dragged him out. I beat him up.
Yeah.
Then we started having like that, like a back and forth strike fest in this spin the wheel match. So I think there's a bit of like an underlying feud there, something like that.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of promise and a lot of story going into this match. And with Harry coming back as well, it's kind of like everyone's got something to fight for.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing this match.
I'm looking forward to being in it. So, Harry was one of the people who I trained with at Redacted, and just watching him, like, because obviously we shared a card, but I never got to wrestle him.
Oh wow, yeah.
He's so smooth, and he hasn't actually lost a step since his hiatus, and I hate that to an extent because he's got no rust whatsoever.
Yeah, and he was so good. He was so good when he was 18. He was 18. I kept saying I can't wait to see him when he's like 22, 23. So I'm still looking forward to seeing it. And I'm so glad he's back. when he said he's retired, I was like, no.
I didn't think he would retire, but now that he's back, I for sure want a singles match at some point with Harry.
He should be in Prospect Wars in November to like defend this title. I think
he might be like a secret fighter at the end of it.
Or he should be the prize, the boss at the end of the levels.
He should be the prize.
Not the prize. It's kind of you win the tournament to go against him for the title.
Yeah.
So all the trophy he's got. So.
I think that'd be fair, because I'm pretty sure you get something for winning Prospect Wars, and I'm pretty sure Harry didn't get his shake at it, so, yeah.
Yeah, I think he was meant to have a title match,
I think he was.
I think that was one of the prizes.
Who knows? I legitimately don't know anything about this Prospect Wars so far.
Yeah, Pete's tried to explain it to me. I'm just like, but he keeps.
I think
he kept saying it was like
Ultimate Fighter.
Ultimate Fighter. I was like, well, I've never seen it, so I was like, I don't have a clue what you're talking about.
Ultimate Fighter. Best way I could sum it up is Tough Enough from WWE. It's to an extent.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, it'd be fun. So, following lockdown, did you make any tweaks to your character or to your moveset when you returned? Or?
Definitely tweaks to a little bit of tweak to everything. So, firstly, after lockdown, I did get myself some new gear because I thought I'd treat myself after not being able to wrestle for a few months.
Yeah,
and gear's expensive. But it's also like, my old gear is just a pair of custom tights and a black, like, cloth vest that I had from Peacock's. It was like the most trash bag looking thing I've ever worn. Combine that with like no gloves, no sleeves, no wrist tape. It was just kind of, I didn't look the best.
No.
But I didn't want to like take off the vest. Not yet. So I swapped to a singlet. Character I would say has changed a bit. I'm trying to mold my character close to a Kevin Owens prize fighter kind of character.
I can see
more
that.
to his stuff in Ring of Honor. Just need to, kind of figure out like generally how he was a heel though, because you look at all like, say like you look at someone's first heel match, and it's always like the laughing at the crowd. It's always the pointing at someone and laughing. It's calling someone an idiot, Yeah. But if you're in the WWE, you don't do that. You just naturally get booed somehow, and it's always the slight stuff, the stuff that you would never really think about twice in wrestling. It's like, when you're doing a suplex, make sure it's clear that you grab the trunks, because it's, you're getting a bit of leverage on them. It's not legal.
Yeah.
It's the very subtle stuff that makes a heel great. And it is stuff that I've been picking up on more and more as I try to develop my character.
Yeah, I can see that.
Move-wise... Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, and you've got a bit of comedy in you as well, I think. So.
Yeah, depending on the mood, I do try a bit of comedy. I enjoy...
You took a headbutt from Lucia Lee, and your bump for that was hilarious. It was in the Rumble.
Yeah, that was the Rumble.
I think you went from one side of the ring, and by the time you fell over, you were on the other ring.
that Rumble match. I just had fun with it, man. I was told like how long I'm going to be in there for. I go in. I try and make it as fun as possible. So I try and like square up to RP Davies, and obviously he classes me because he's a boxer. Yeah. And I ended up by yeeting myself out the ring. Like, have you seen? I think it's the 89 Royal Rumble where Marty Jannetty goes for a crossbody on Ted DiBiase, and DiBiase just flops to the floor and Jannetty goes flying over the top rope.
Yeah.
I tried my best to do that because it's just fun. I don't know why. If we're going off of my moveset wise, I've been trying to be a bit, I don't know, I've tried to add a bit of everything. First of all, my finish changed. My original finisher wasn't too bad. It was, do you know the flipping neck breaker that John Morrison used to do? Mm-hmm. It was that. I forget what it's called.
I don't know what's called.
And then right now I've actually been using a move that I invented, which is essentially a package shoulder breaker.
Oh, right, so. Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to swap it into some form of package Ushi-Goroshi, which Pud has been helping me with the method for it. But I don't want to like actually break someone's neck. Because it's hard enough, because you're already like, fully bundled up, ready to take the move. You can't really protect yourself. It's just on me.
Yeah.
And I pride myself on being relatively safe.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun the finish you can do on like all sizes of people as well. So it's like.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's possible to find a finish that you can do on everyone if it's not like a strike, like the super kick that James does. He can hit anyone with that from, me to Big T.
Yeah.
But some moves...
We all know how devastating that is because it put me out in 30 seconds.
I was there for it. I popped... I didn't realise there was an actual match going on until I looked up and realised that you had who was it, Mundo as the referee? Ray Mundo.
Yeah, well, me and Lance have been bigging it up for weeks on the podcast that we'll have this title match. And we thought it lasted like 30 seconds. Plus, he didn't feel very well. So
yeah, he told me. He asked me to. I remember he was teaching. He called me in the ring because he wanted me to do like show people how to do one of the bumps. And then we're leaning over the ropes, and he just whispers to me, "Can you do this one, mate? I'm not feeling very well right now." And watch where you step. I've just thrown up outside.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit. Right, then sorry. I mean, I felt bad because, he's having to wrestle whilst he's not feeling well. Like, didn't have to wrestle. Just train.
Yeah.
He is lovely about that kind of thing, though. Like, I will say this. Lance is one of the nicest people I've met in wrestling, and he plays the biggest dick on shows. And it's something that I noticed now. Like, anyone who's a heel just seems to be the nicest person.
Yeah, and I noticed, like, the best heels tend to work in jobs where they work with the public all the time.
Yeah.
So it's like their release at the weekend is the shouts at the public because they have to be so nice.
It's such a 180. It's a funny, like, oxymoron. Because I'm not saying, like, the faces are bad people. I love a lot of the faces, but then you look at all the heels, and it's just, you don't expect them to be nice. So then when they are nice, it just kind of hits even more, I guess.
Yeah.
And I've been stealing a lot of moves because we were on movesets.
Yeah.
I've been trying to incorporate a few more athletic moves, and I stole the slingshot spear that Johnny Gargano does.
Oh, that's cool. I think, yeah, you got like the stature to make that look quite cool as well. So I think. Yeah, I just need to work on it because right now the way I do it, I basically just hit them and then flop on my face. And it sucks to do. I'm kind of hoping I can do. I don't know if it is possible, but the end goal is to kind of do one that, like, have you seen how Bobby Lashley does his spears where he kind of rolls through with it? Mm-hmm. I kind of want to do that because that way I can quickly get up, bang, do something else, or go for a pin. And not risk busting my nose open.
My name is Riley, and you've been listening to BBG Wrestling.
Right, so this question usually gives your age away, so who was your favourite wrestler growing up?
Rey Mysterio.
Yes.
Right. that's one thing I'll never change. He was actually the first wrestler I watched.
Oh, wow.
And, I mean, I don't know if it's a question of how I got into wrestling. It was Rey Mysterio, technically, who got me into the real stuff. If we're going just, like, as far back as I can, my first exposure to wrestling was a video game, WWE All-Stars.
Oh, I love WWE.
But I
thought I loved it.
Yeah. Me and my friends used to play the demo at his house. I think he only got like 4 wrestlers on it for the demo. But I thought it was the coolest thing, watching people do like backflips off of these drop kicks, or like, you know, John Cena doing like flips to throw people. And then I'm like home one day, and my mum yells at me, and she says, "That wrestler you like is on the telly." And I was lost, because to my knowledge, WWE All-Stars was kind of like your Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, where all the characters are fake.
All right, okay.
Because, you know, they're all like these giant muscular dudes doing like insane flips that seem impossible. That was my first impression of it. And with names like, you know, Hulk Hogan and Mr. Perfect, how am I supposed to believe that's real? But the first match I ever watched was actually right after CM Punk left. It was Rey Mysterio versus The Miz for the WWE Championship, which Mysterio won.
And John Cena beat him straight afterwards.
Yeah, that ingrained a bit of a distaste for John Cena in me. It's like Rey Mysterio's this cool little dude in a mask who like flies all over the ring, and then John Cena, who, I mean, because it was the first time I was watching, I had no idea who he was. I just thought he was some random dude who showed up and then beat up my favourite. Yeah.
It was a bit weird that they didn't just leave him as champion for like till the next pay-per-view and then have that match. It's not very faced, is it? So it's not very
they didn't even let him have it for a show.
No.
Like, I'm pretty sure John Cena was like kayfabe fired as well, because I think, that was his return night. Because he got fired because he lost to Punk at Money in the Bank.
He was wrestling on house shows in the mask could he can't see it. It's like John Cena's Mexican cousin or something else.
Is that what you spelled as? John Cena's Mexican cousin?
I'm sure it's Yam.
Oh my god.
He had a mask on, but everything else is the same. He wore the same like green t-shirt and jorts and stuff.
It sounds like Mr. America, basically.
It was.
It's like all the top names get it, so we have to just wait for Roman Reigns to get one now. We had Hogan, we had Cena. Who's next?
So what prompted you to go on the tights and get in the ring yourself?
It was, so I've always wanted to do wrestling ever since I started watching it. It was just, it's cool. It's always been my dream job, and I legitimately just happened to be in a call with a friend, Ray, not Ray Mundo, but the one with the black ponytail who comes to train with me.
Yeah.
I just happened to randomly Google wrestling schools in the town, and there was one 10-minute walk from my house, and I had no idea, and it had been there since 2006.
Oh wow.
And I found out, I was like, hang on, let's just start, why not? It's a bit of that cheesy 90s movies trope where these friends agree to something, they all put their hands in the middle. And then I just kind of kicked it off there, and it was the most horrifying thing I've ever done. Because I would say I think I started at about 15, 16. I wasn't very social, so having to grapple and punch strangers, it's not exactly my forte right away.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things I found weird to begin with.
Yeah, I
was kind of glad me and Joel did it together to begin with.
Yeah, that's why it's a lot of people stick with their mates in training, just because if you accidentally stiff them, you accidentally punch them in the face for real. It's sorry mate. If you punch a stranger, you're like, oh no, and it's like, oh, that's your first impression done. You just punched that dude in the face. He's gonna hate you now.
I've been punched twice. I think it was by Bernard when Sonna took the class, and then Jordan me as well. So.
I've been punched in the face far too many times. I got punched in the face right before my first show. It was an accident, so for a bit of context as well, I have a implant tooth at the front.
Yeah.
It comes out really like easy from like pressure. It just didn't come through. Right before my first one-on-one match on a show, we're training, and it's a Popeye drill, which is you've got someone in the corner, you hit them in the gut, and it exposes the face. You hit them in the face, it exposes the gut.
Yeah.
I'm with Brian Edison, and he's going like rapid fire, bang, bang, bang. I'm struggling to keep up. He elbows me right in the upper lip, and then the tooth comes out, and it's not like a bad thing. It can just get put back in.
Yeah, I'm sure. I can just imagine Brian.
It didn't help that because it was right before a show. My mum and Nan were like sat at a table right next to the ring, just watching me train because they've never seen it before. And I walk out to them. They're in shock. Brian was terrified because he thought he just knocked my tooth out and it was going to start like bleeding or something. I was like, no, mate, it's sound. And then the realization hit me that I'm going to have to do my first show with a massive gap tooth. That was the more harrowing part, not the fact that it was my first one-on-one match. It was that I had a massive gap tooth and didn't want to open my mouth much. But I got through it. It was a fun match.
So it was like Rey Mysterio who you wanted to like mold your star around when you started training?
So, yeah, I would say, obviously I was probably a lot slimmer as a youth. I thought, you know what, it can't be that hard. If someone like him can, do all these cool flippy stuff and he's like, 40, he's doing it he's still like nearly 50, isn't he? And he still does stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm 19 and can barely get over the top rope. But, I thought, yeah, I can do that. And then it didn't help that I got exposed to NXT as well and started seeing like Neville and Sami Zayn doing stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, come on, this can't be too hard if this many people can do it. And then I remember the first time I tried to springboard in wrestling, my foot got caught on the top rope and I just flopped into the ring.
Oh.
Thankfully, it wasn't a show and no one was watching me. but like, that's when I kind of realized, oh, yeah, no, I can't do any of this. I'm going to have to go for a different style completely. And that's when I started watching, there was more Samoa Joe, Kevin Owens, and I started getting into Japanese wrestling like Noah and All Japan, and currently New Japan.
Yeah, when I started training, I thought I'm short and stocky, so I started watching like early Taz and early Rhino, like early ECW stuff of theirs, just to try and
I love Rhino. Like, Taz is great as well, and he is better than Rhino, but like, I don't think Rhino gets enough credit for like just how good he was. In my opinion, anyway.
That end of that ECW run, he was amazing.
I thought some of his stuff in his WWE run was pretty good, and I could never get sick of watching like a compilation of him just hitting people with the gore. Because he just goes right through them. And it's so great, and like the dude just, I don't know, you look at him and he's actually huge, like not tall, but like he's just insanely wide. And then it makes you realize, oh no, I just wouldn't want to take a spear from that fella. He will break my ribs. But yeah, no, it's good. I've kind of learned it's good to kind of watch a variety of different styles and kind of try different things, see what you feel comfortable with. You kind of have to mesh your own style with it, because you see, like, I keep mentioning him, Kevin Owens. He's like a grappler, a striker, a high flyer. The dude can do everything.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you've got to aim for in wrestling, in my opinion. Kind of just do a bit of everything, feel what you're comfortable with, take out what you don't do, and just kind of find your own little niche of a style.
Yeah, I kind of describe like when you make a creator wrestler on the 2K games, you usually start by just giving them somebody's moves, but as you see other cool moves, you go, oh, I like that, I'll add that in. And then over time, you've got your own moveset, really. But mine usually starts as like something like Vader or somebody, and then I'll add music from there.
I mean, when I was a kid, I'd just make a wrestler who was like 7 foot max weight, but he's like insanely ripped, and he's doing like 450s and 630 centons.
Yeah, that's what Isaac makes. He's 7. So he usually has bright red hair and he has purple skin. Yeah, he's 7 foot tall, 400 pounds. We've got the move set of Rey Mysterio.
To be fair, a guy that big doing moves like that is essential. It's quite a lot of big guys in wrestling now. Like
definitely.
he's not 7'4" and probably not 400 pounds, but people like Keith Lee and Brian Cage, they're pretty athletic for their size.
Definitely.
I just don't know how. Like Keith Lee, he's a fantastic worker. He doesn't have he has like a Dusty Rhodes physique, I'd say, and he can move better than like half the people on the roster that he's on at any time.
Yeah, I was so gutted that just Vince McMahon just didn't know what to do with him on the main roster. I was like, just let him do what he does. He's cool. Just let him do it. Doesn't have to be Bearcat or something stupid.
I was hoping Bearcat. When I first heard it, I thought Bearcat was like a nickname. And then I kept watching. It's like, oh no, they've just changed him to Bearcat Lee now. And it's like, oh, how can you ruin Keith Lee?
No, could you just say what in ECW? Not ECW. AEW. He's not done anything special. He's still just having great matches because they haven't got a storyline for him at the moment. So they're just go have a great match. Seriously.
I think he's injured at the moment, isn't he?
Is he? While he's having his tag team title run, they didn't really have. It won't be remembered as a great run, but every match they had was a banger. So. Yeah,
especially that Pud and I think Christie kept egging me on to watch their match versus the Acclaimed at.
That was brilliant.
I don't remember what the last pay-per-view was. Revolution, was it?
It was relevant. No, it was All Out.
All Out. Oh yeah. I finally watched it, and it is a really good match. I have been sleeping on the Acclaimed for a while, because I didn't really think that Max Caster was great. I thought Anthony Bowens was fine, but now that I've watched them more, I'm realizing, oh no, they are legitimately a really good tag team, and they are insanely charismatic.
Yeah, that's Scissor Me Dad. He still makes me. I do it all the time. I just never play what it means.
It's the 21st century version of Suck It.
Yeah,
essentially. They've got a member of DX in there as well, so I mean, they've got the ability to make it work.
So looking forward. Do you have a wish list of opponents or promotions you want to work for over the next year, 18 months? Or?
If I'm looking just forward for a year, opponents, I could say I could go on for hours of people who would want to fight in Bohai. There's people who don't even wrestle anymore, but who I've trained with who I'd love to fight, like Rabbit Riley, for example.
Yeah, he used to come back. I never saw Rabbit Riley. I only saw him as Frederick in Wrestle Island. So I never saw Rabbit Riley live. So.
See, for me, it's the exact opposite. I never got to see him as Frederick, but he was insane when I got to it. He's very fast as well. I remember trying to do a very simple training spot, and I was just gassed out by the end of it because the dude's going 100 miles per hour, and I'm here doing my absolute best to keep up. And it's bro, it's not a race. Come on now, we've got 3 hours of this.
Because it looked like they were planting seeds of a Riley, Jack Riley and Frederick feud in Wrestle Island going forward, and then pandemic happened. But I was really looking forward to seeing what that would have came with.
It's a shame that Freddie retired, but I wholeheartedly respect his opinion. He is a very, very nice person. He's one of the people who taught me as well. I credit him and Matt Fox for they gave me the basics, and then Matt Fox, who, by the way, is the best person you can get to teach you.
Yeah, I've heard.
I don't know how to describe Matt. He just teaches in a Matt Fox way, which ingrains everything so specifically and so well into your mind that you can you just look at wrestling a completely different way when he explains it to you.
Yeah.
And it's so good. It's like Brian Anderson too. He's kind of learnt from Matt as well, I think. I assume he's learnt a bit from Matt. They did train in the same place for a while.
Yeah.
I'm still confused on what Steve goes on about when he tells me he sees the ring in sections or cubes or something.
Yeah.
And it's can I move this way? No, so I can move this way instead. And it's like a wrestling stoner going on about a trip, but it makes sense as well. And
he sees it in 9 squares, doesn't he? So.
Yeah, I've tried to think of it like that, and then I spend 10 minutes in a rest hole just wondering how I can get out of it. If I'm going on about people who I want to face, obviously I've got to say the people who have taught me, like Matt, Sean only as well. I did say Harry McKenny earlier, Pud as well. I don't like to nitpick people because I don't want to like leave someone out and then, then I feel bad about it. But there's a lot of people. There's a huge backlog of people who I'd love to fight.
Yeah. I kind of want to face everybody I've interviewed.
That's a long list. How many you've interviewed? Like how many people now?
I don't know. In 2020, I did 63 interviews. So, I'm guessing probably.
You better have your bump card empty. Get ready for a long line of matches.
Probably best part 200 interviews, probably. I guess.
Jesus.
Maybe.
I mean,
like
you know what? It's not completely.
Oh yeah, for about 5 years I've been interviewing wrestlers.
That's pretty good, and that's a lot of names that you get to fight. just like start your own promotion and line them up for an incredibly long like gauntlet match.
Oh, who was it? Oh, that Japanese women's wrestler I can't remember who it was. She had it for a retirement show. She had all the people she like the big influences on her career, like the 30-year career she had. She had 51-minute matches. So I was like, oh, that sounds great.
I mean, it's not a match, but that just makes me think of. Have you seen the clip like that was going around of right after he passed away, Antonio Inoki? There was a clip that arose of like I think it was the Tokyo Dome. There's people lining all the way up from the ramp to the stage, just waiting to be slapped in the face by Antonio Inoki.
Yeah, I saw that.
And the dude just didn't hold back. It's like, why are people doing this? And then it's like, oh, because you want, like, I think it's like to be embraced by the fighting spirit of Antonio Inoki or something.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the explanation for it, but it's like, no, he's like one of the hardest men in wrestling at that time. He's probably
wrestler. He went toe to toe with Muhammad Ali.
He did. He was more back to toe though.
This is the Ronin Brian Aidenson demanding that you, yes you, our very valued listener, listen to Broken but Glorious podcast.
Right, so if you're promoted for a day, promoting an event, so using wrestlers you've either worked with, trained with, wrestlers are associated to you in some way. If I give you a match type, you'll tell me who put in that match.
Alright, sweet.
Cool. And as it's your show, you can make every match into gender, three-way, four-way, five-way. Add a stupid stipulation if you want. It's your show, so... Cool. So who will be in your opening contest? Get the crowd excited.
Yeah, I mentioned both of these lads earlier, and I feel like they would put on an absolute screamer. So I'm going to say Riley the NBF versus Rapid Riley.
Ooh, that'd be interesting.
Because both of them are incredibly fast. They are insane with strikes. And I feel like they would just mesh so well.
Yeah, and the loser can't use the name Riley anymore.
You have to go by either Rabid or the NBF.
Yeah. the non-binary refinery. That'd be a great match. What about a comedy style match?
This one, this has already happened, but it's I love the first time, so I need to see it again. Brian Aidenson versus Fantastic Matt Fox.
Ooh, I don't know if I've seen them.
It was from Redacted. I think the match has been saved somewhere, but you might have to ask like Matt or Steve about it.
Yeah.
I mean, the tone was set when Steve slipped on the steps getting up to the ring during his entrance. But it's like, it's such a good mesh of comedy and actual wrestling that it's just like the perfect blend of it. And I feel like that's exactly what comedy wrestling should be. Like, don't get me wrong, there is room in wrestling for like, Orange Cassidy's or people who kind of base their whole gimmick on comedy wrestling to an extent. But there's like Matt and Steve, I think they would just absolutely do the most with the time that they're given.
Definitely.
And I just think it would just be perfect again to have that.
Yeah, I think one of the funniest matches I've ever seen was it's Dean Allmark versus James Mason. But it was probably one of the best technical matches I've ever seen as well.
I've been watching loads of Dean Allmark clips as well. That was like one of the things I started when I got back into Fighting Spirit. I saw he had a whole page dedicated to just clips of stuff that he does. I was like, oh, cool, give that a bit of a follow. check in on that every now and then.
Yeah, for a while, Tyler Adams just used to be his guinea pig for new moves on his YouTube page. I did a new move today, and it used to be Tyler Adams just getting your women's title match?
Women's title match would be Harley Hudson.
Yes.
And Alexis Falcon.
Yeah, I really enjoyed their title match. Yeah.
I thought their Island match was pretty good, and a rematch with, it's got the story of it being a rematch behind it. It's got more stakes to it. I think that would, it'd be a good storytelling match to kind of build people back into it, build people back up. Because if you do two matches, like if you do this one match and then you do the same match like a month later, it's gonna have a bit less interest.
Mm-hmm.
So to have a story going into it like that, and it'll probably pique the interest and make it even more than the original. So
yeah, I think Alexis has taken some time off away from the island. So if they have it, so Harley just mows down the whole women's roster, and then she's like, I've done everybody, and then Alexis comes back, and the crowd goes, woo! And then, if we don't see Alexis for like 18 months or something. Yeah.
I could dig it. It'd be a fantastic story as well. Throwing a bit of a heel turn.
Yeah. Harley's doing dead good and something. Is it a phenomenal wrestling? She's a heel.
I think so, but she's getting everywhere. She was in ICW a few months ago, I think. And I remember seeing that. It was so surreal, because I used to love ICW. I've just kind of slowed down on it now. But, when it was just running rampant with people like Joe Hendry, Grado, Lionheart.
Yeah.
It was fantastic, and I just loved watching it, because it's more just like, it feels like it's a show run by mates, for mates. And then to see someone like Lily on it, who I've known and I've trained with, it was surreal.
Yeah. Oh. Cool. A mid-card title match, so like your workhorse title.
Workhorse title, intercontinental title, whatever. I'd say a triple threat.
Ooh, yeah, okay.
And it would be myself, if I'm allowed to.
Yeah, sure.
I wouldn't book myself over. That's my limit. Christy Quinlan.
Yes.
And Tyler Adams.
Ooh, that'll be fun.
Which I think
it's got a nice clash of styles as well.
Yeah. And I've had a chance to work with both of them. I've had a show match against Christy, which to this date I would say is one of my better matches, and it was my second singles match.
Yeah. Wow.
But I've not had a chance to work with him a lot recently, particularly in an actual match. So I think it'd be really fun to relive that. And then of course Tyler Adams, I've trained with. We had a tag team match at training last Sunday. He's just really good at like keeping a match together, and then he can also work. I'm not sure how to describe it really. He can work with pretty much everything.
Yeah, definitely.
And put on a solid match. So combine that with like meeting Christy, it's essentially just a match that is just going to stay together and hopefully excite the crowd.
Cool. A hardcore Extreme Rules style match. So this can be anything from a comedy 24/7. Hardcore thing right up to deathmatch.
It wouldn't be a deathmatch per se, but it would probably be a bit of a hard one. Demon Eye.
Ooh, yeah.
Who I'm glad I got to wrestle him before I'm pretty sure he's fully retired now, and he's a fantastic bloke. Versus Gino Rampage Ramsey.
Oh, that's great. Yeah,
because I just think first of all they did have that whole feud in the island.
Yeah, but when Gino powerbombed him through the table covered in Lego, such a great sight.
So there's already that like heat behind it. But say again, if we're going into story wise, Demon Eye is coming back from a hiatus. So I'm pretty sure was that like one of his last island appearances, if not his actual last.
I think his last. He was in the Rumble in 2020. I think that might have been his last singles match. I'm sure was against Pete.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I remember I remember that was everywhere, and I was like, what is this Wrestle Island thing that people could tell me about? This was like before I got out of like my bubble of just kind of going around places.
Yeah.
And then seeing, oh, my mate's working there, cool. I don't know where it is, but, looks pretty alright because they're there. So I had no idea what Wrestle Island was when I saw pictures of Ryan beating up some poor dude. But I think the story behind it of like Demon Eye coming back and he wants to make a statement, something like that, so he goes after his old rival.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would work nicely.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I'd like to see that match again. A tag team title match?
Tag team title, I would have to say made to last.
Yes, definitely.
I've spoken to them a little bit. I've watched them work. I think they're actually kind of underrated. Like, I feel like there should be more places. And like I rarely actually see them around. Like, obviously they do get around.
Yeah, Isaac was absolutely gutted we couldn't get to Infamous the other week because they're his favourite tag team, and he just doesn't see them that often.
I mean, I don't want to rub it in, but Made to Last and Pud versus VGS was an insanely good match, and I'm glad I got to watch it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'd say those two versus Merseyside Merc Squad, Dan Evans and Scott Oberman.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think, again, it's a good mesh of styles.
Definitely.
Merseyside Mercs are insanely good with their heel work, which, again, it's weird because Dan Evans and Scott Oberman are some of the nice people I've gotten to chat to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, Made to Last can do, like, a little bit of comedy with their stuff as well. I've noticed, like, they work their comedy into their wrestling at the very beginning, and then it becomes, like, a more emotional story as it comes down to it.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to take the match more and more seriously, and that's what I just love about their matches. They can tell a story, and then they can do, like, a complete 180 and still be telling the same story, but it's just gone to, like, a completely different way than anyone would expect.
Yeah, I love that match. And then it's your main event.
Main event. I'm going to have to go with Lance Rivera, because, why not? He's also Wrestle Island champion, so something's on the line at least.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hard call, because I think Lance, he could put a match on with anyone, and it would be fantastic. Because I've worked him a little bit, and we were okay, so, I mean, if that sets the standard, if anything, Lance Rivera would probably have a very good match with Declan McCarthy, I would say.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
I used to train a little bit with Declan at Fighting Spirit. I've kind of spoken to him every now and then, and by that I mean very, very occasionally, so he just makes it, I guess.
I don't think I've seen, like, Lance up against, like, a proper hoss.
Yeah, that was my thought. I'm not sure if you count Hustle as a hoss. He's a bit, I would say he's stronger than Lance, but I'm not sure. Who else has Lance defended against?
Me.
Oh, yeah.
Connors. He's got Philip Michaels on Saturday, Dan Evans on Sunday, and Harvey Hudson the following week.
I think him and McCarthy. Sorry. Him and McCarthy would be just a very good match. It would be solid. It would, again, McCarthy, I watched his match with, I think it was, Chase Martini. Chase Alexander? Yeah. And it's a really brutal match. I think, Alexander's earring, like, ripped his ear, though, so there's blood in it. Yeah. And because he wears a white shirt, it was accentuated a bit, but I think it would be a very good mesh of styles, personally. I think the fact that they'd be going against each other, McCarthy would be absolutely battering him, and then there's like some slick comeback that James can pull out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I think it would be a fantastic clash.
Yeah, I think it'll be a brilliant match. Yeah, I'll just watch that card.
That was the one match that I actually struggled to book. It was the main event. So I knew it was going to be Lance because I wanted something on the line, like a world title, or like the Wrestle Island title. But I was like, who would put on a good match with Lance? Then it swapped to who wouldn't. And it was a struggle, but I landed on McCarthy because I feel like the clash of styles definitely would react well together.
Definitely. Yeah, I'd like to see him against like a proper hoss. Yeah. Cool. So Got Wrestle Island this Sunday. Have you got any other matches in the future you'd like to promote?
As far as right now, I can't really say.
Okay.
But I am hoping that I do have some more in the future. Don't Call It a 2.0, Ellesmere Port, Whitby Sports and Social Club. That's the one I've got my eyes on right now.
Mm-hmm.
Fatal 4-way match with Riley the MBF, Harry McKenny, and Padraig Quinlan.
Yes.
I'm
main evented by Lance versus Dan Evans.
I'm looking forward to that. Dan Evans is a bit of a horse, so, you know. Mm-hmm. But I'm looking forward to battering the three of them lads.
Yes.
And then going home and ordering a chippy or something. It's that thing after a show, I'm just too lazy to cook once I'm home.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm going to be getting home at like 7 anyway, so.
Cool. Do you want to make your social media before we go?
Yeah, so I don't really use Facebook, but on Instagram it is _EJW_. Mm-hmm. And on Twitter it is Ethan Walsh _03.
So I'll put links in the description below the interview, and I'll put ticket information for Wrestle Island. So yeah, I've really enjoyed speaking today. I'd love to have you on again in the future, and I'm sure I'll see you on Saturday, Sunday.
I'm there both days, hopefully, yeah. Alright, love this. Love being here, thank you.